Welcome to Seeing with Your Soul, the podcast aimed to inspire you to find your voice and become the best, truest, and most authentic version of yourself. Spiritually intimate soul-to-soul conversations, life-changing insights, and spiritual teaching and healing. Real, raw, unfiltered. Join your host, Tisha Michelle.
The only life a person's opinion has over you is the life you give it. Welcome and welcome back to Seeing with Your Soul. I'm your host, Tisha Michelle. So, quick announcement. Some of you may already know, but for those of you who are new, I am hosting a retreat in Bali. And that retreat is September 2nd through the 8th, and that's of this year. And if you want me to send you some more information on it, you can DM me on Instagram at Mindset Slayer. And, I can give you some more info there. Also, if you look in the show notes, it'll have my contact information there. Also, I just made all the arrangements and everything for my retreat for next year for 2022. And that is going to be in March. And we are going to Egypt. 2018, I had the pleasure and the honor of spending 10 days in Egypt. And while everybody was like, oh my God, did you have was it fun? And I was like, fun? What? I'm like, it was a life-changing experience. And I said, when I visited the first time, I was like, you know what? Either this is going to be enough for me, this is going to be great, or I'm going to come back all the time. And I chose the second. I said, oh my gosh, there's so much more of Egypt that I want to explore, and I want to explore it with other people. So, I can kind of be like a part of their first time going to Egypt and having that amazing experience. Yes, guys, I'm making it a little bit about me. So I want to be a part of that. So yeah, so I'm hosting that retreat. So I have my Arizona one, which is in May, which is right around the corner. I do not have any more spots left outside of just for the day pass, which will be on that Saturday. So even if you're like, hey, I need somewhere quick to go, or something, I would love to have you in Arizona. So come on. So yeah, you can look in the show notes and get my contact information, or if you're already connecting and vibing with me on Instagram, just send me a DM and just say, hey, I'm interested in this retreat. So Arizona, it's only a day thing. Sorry, guys. And Bali is in September, and then Egypt is next March. And I'm just putting this out there, just the energy. My next retreat after that I'm looking at is Fiji. So I'm waiting to get the info on there. Oh yeah, actually real quick too, a client of mine, we were talking and we were looking at co-hosting a retreat in Richmond, Virginia in July. So we don't have that finalized, but if that is something and you're closer and you're like, hey, I could do that, send me a DM as well. And let me know so I can get you that information once we get that together. I don't even know how I'm tripping over here, how I forgot that we were looking at doing that. So yeah, okay. Well, that was all the announcements I have for you guys. So in this present moment, I'm grateful, I would say, for my level of curiosity. And why, you ask? Because that level of curiosity, it allows me to explore. Right. So I come from a place of curiosity, I wonder what it would be like if I did this. I wonder what it would be like if I experienced this. I wonder what would be like if I just told them no and didn't give a reason. Right. So when I have that level of curiosity, it allows me to explore. And the more that I explore, the more that I'm able to evolve and I'm able to grow. Right. So someone said to me, a friend of mine, she said, I really wish I had that level of fearlessness with you. And well, not with you, but fearlessness that you have. And I'm like, yeah, I've always just kind of just been like that. But when I think about it, it's a lot of it is just my curiosity. Can I make that shit happen? What would it be like if it was that? So being curious, I believe, just, really plays a big part in your evolution and your growth. Now, while I'm curious to do certain things and try things, it doesn't mean that I don't have any fear. It just means I'm a lot more curious. So, because I mean, I'm human as well. So sometimes those thoughts can even come to me and I'll be like, oh, I'm really curious about this. But yo, what if I fall flat the hell on my face? But I'll just allow myself to push through, really just depending on what it actually is. So yeah, I was thinking about this like the past couple of days. I'm like, yo, I'd be really mad curious about things. Like that's actually kind of dope. So that's what I would say, that in this present moment, that is what I am grateful for, my curiosity. So your turn, guys. Unless you are driving, go ahead and close your eyes. And why are we closing our eyes? We are just getting ourselves into like a pretty relaxed state, right? So we can get grounded and we can express, our gratitude. And when we express our gratitude, it's just, you kind of like scan your life, you kind of check in. And when you do that, it just puts you in such like a feel good, mode. So like right now we're being very intentional, right? We're going to express our gratitude. We're going to get grounded. Like that's our intentions, right? So, all right, again, go ahead and close your eyes. And now I want you to take a nice deep breath. So you're just going to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And if you have any tension right now, just allow yourself that space to just release it, just to let it go. This is your time. You've decided to come on here and listen to the podcast, right? So this is your time. So nothing else matters right now. The only thing that matters is you allowing yourself to relax and allowing yourself to receive whatever message that's for you in this podcast. So again, we're going to take another nice deep breath and you're going to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. One more nice deep breath, breathing in through your nose and out your mouth. Yes, let's go. All right, what's up? What you grateful for? What are you grateful for? If you're someone that loves to journal around and this is that time that you take, go ahead and pop it on pause and go ahead and write what you're grateful for. Scan your life. Really think about it. Think about it. Are you curious? Like, are you someone that's curious and now you may be starting to think like, wait a minute, I am actually pretty curious and it does allow me to, grow and do things and really see what I'm made of and stuff, right? What about the conversation that you had last night? What about that unexpected, text message that you got from someone that actually put a little smile on your face? Are you grateful for that? Are you grateful because you woke up this morning, just in general? Because there's people all throughout the world that didn't wake up this morning. Or maybe you're just grateful for all the challenges that you overcame. Or maybe you're just grateful for my podcast because you love to hear my voice. No, whatever it is, express that gratitude, man, and allow that to be brought right back to you, right? So it's also when we think about the things that we're grateful for, it puts us in this nice state of mind. It makes us feel good, makes us feel joyful, makes us feel happy. And when you recreate that feeling, go a little bit further and say, send me more of this. Doesn't have to be more of what you are grateful for per se, but whatever it is that you're grateful for, produce this nice feeling. And then you can ask the universe, you can ask God, and just say, you know what, send me more of this. Like, I don't care how it comes. I just want to continue to feel like this. Right? So try that. All right. So let's get into it, right? So today, my daughter, the 15-year-old, she had to get a colonoscopy and an endoscopy. Yeah. So we've been in Virginia for a really long time. And a side note, I cannot wait to get back to Arizona next month. Virginia, Richmond is cool, but I need to get back into that sun. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent already and I ain't even get started. So yeah, so she's been having some stuff with like her iron levels have been like extremely, extremely low. And that's no cap. And she had to get infusions and all this stuff. Well, they got to figure out where her, what's going on. Like, where is this bleeding, coming from? Is it, what is it? So we've had to see different people, starting with our hematologist. And one of the things that the hematologist wanted was for her to see GI to make sure there was no internal bleeding. So today was a day, and they was like, look, we're just going to knock them both out. Endoscopy, yeah. And a colonoscopy. So anyway, so she has to have anesthesia. So as the nurse is coming back after the procedure is done, one of the nurse comes into the room and she's like, hey, mom, don't be alarmed. She's really emotional. And she was like, because what they've been seeing is that in teenage girls, that when they have the anesthesia, it makes them very, very like emotional. I was like, okay, that's it. Okay. Well, as she was walking out, the other nurse was bringing her in and my daughter's crying. I'm like, wait, what's going on? I'm thinking like maybe she's like hurting, or maybe they had to put the tube down her throat. 'Cause if anybody's ever, had anesthesia like that, and you had like that procedure to make your throat like hurt. So they're getting her on the bed and she's crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she's thinking she's going to say something's hurting in that aspect. And she's like, I'm just so sad. Wait, I was not prepared for this. What? So she was like, I'm just so sad. And she's crying even more. And I said, well, what are you sad about? And she was like, as she's crying and like nose like running. And she's like, for all my bad decisions and all the bad choices that I've made in my life. Mind you, she's only 15. And I'm like, it's okay. They weren't mistakes. They were experiences. And it's really important for you to forgive yourself, right? And it says some other stuff. And then later on, like, a couple minutes after, she had to go to the bathroom. And so they took her to the bathroom, but then they came and got me and wanted me to stand like in there with her. So I'm in there with her while she's using the bathroom and all. And she's still coming off anesthesia, but she's still crying. And then she was like, it just wasn't fair. And I'm like, fair? What do you mean? And she's like, it just wasn't fair to you. And she was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So, I told her that I forgive her because I do. I'm not holding anything over her, but in that moment I felt like her soul needed to hear me say that. It was just eerie, like a wow, type thing. So I explained more about her forgiving herself and all of that. So she's just crying and just crying. And when it hit me, and I'm like, sometimes we just need a good cry. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we just need a good cry. So for you guys listening, have you ever like experienced something in your life, right? And you look at it now and you're like, oh, yo, that shit was a mistake. And ever since that, whatever that thing you perceive as a mistake happened, you went with the route of out of sight, out of mind. So let me just like forget about it. Let me not think about it. And it's just what it is, that's just what it is. And we're never going to talk about it. I'm never going to talk about it. And I'm just going to keep it moving. So see, when we do something like that, we're not dealing with anything. We're bypassing, right? We're bypassing and then we're pulling the whole out of sight, out of mind. And then we bury it, right? Then something happens and it triggers the shit out of us. And then we feel like we're spiraling out of control. And it's like, what the heck, So with my daughter and these bad decisions that, and shit, some of them I probably don't even know what they are. She just buried them. And then here comes a situation that triggers it for whatever reason with the anesthesia. It makes them, emotional. So now she's actually like expressing herself and what she's holding on to. And I thought it was even though it took me back, it was a beautiful thing because I look at it as a big scheme of things, like within her, within myself, within each and every one of you. I want to unpack, what she said and how it could relate to all of us. So one, she cried right? So water is it's like the purest cleansing element, right? And it's so freeing and liberating, makes you feel lighter. It just feels good after a nice good cry. And the reason being is there's those emotions that are trapped. And that's what it is. They're trapped. They're trapped inside of us and they need to come out. And they're going to always find a way to come out. And a lot of the times the ways that it comes out is not healthy. So sometimes we do just need a good cry. So when she was crying, I said that to her. I said, let it come out. Let it come. That's a part of the healing. That you're feeling something, right? You're feeling something. So another part to that is she acknowledged how she was feeling. She said, I'm just so sad, right? How many of you don't even acknowledge how you're feeling? And you don't acknowledge that you're sad. I mean, for many reasons. One, you feel like, oh, I don't want to make that a reality. Or or two, you're like, I gotta be positive. I gotta be positive. I can't be sad. I gotta be positive, right? So you bypass it, right? Or you don't even check in with yourself. And if you're familiar with my work, and or the podcast, I'm always encouraging you to check in with yourself. What's up, self? How you feeling? What's up? What's going on? What you sad about? Let's talk about it. Let's unpack this, right? So she was unpacking. She acknowledged how it is that she felt. And then she also acknowledged, that it was the bad decisions that she made. I don't really get caught up in the good and the bad, right? When it comes, I just look at it all, and this is just my personal belief. I just look at it all as an experience. So I don't really like to put, oh, that was positive or oh, that was negative, because I don't want to give it much more life than what it really truly should have. But for her, she said, hey, for all the bad decisions that I made. So at that point in her mind, she's already connected with the experiences that she had. And then she's like, I don't like them. They weren't good. Right. So a lot of times when we bury those experiences that we had and don't really acknowledge it, it comes back up again. Right. It just looks different. Right. It comes back up again. And then we find ourselves in that situation again and we're real confused. And it's like, what you confused for? How'd I end up here? This is just like da da da. Well, we actually never did anything. We didn't even acknowledge it. We didn't acknowledge how we felt. We didn't recognize that that was, air quotes over here, guys, good, or if it was bad. And here she is on this anesthesia and unpacking some stuff, right? So another thing is, I told her, I said, you really need to forgive yourself, right? So how many of you haven't forgiven yourself for these things that you perceive to be as mistakes, those experiences you had, and you're just hard on yourself? Whether you're saying, like, I was so stupid, how could I have done that? I wish I would have never done that. When in actuality, some of these things we've experienced was inevitable. That shit was out of your control. It was going to happen. It's just what it was because it was a part of the process. Sometimes it's not always a part of your free will. Sometimes it's like that was inevitable and it needed to happen and it was going to happen. Right. So have you forgiven yourself? Have you unpacked? When was the last time you cried? So another part to unpack on that was when we were in the bathroom and she said, it's just not fair. And I'm thinking she's talking about for herself. And when I asked her, more of that, she said, it just wasn't fair to you. And I'm so, so sorry. That's cool. I received that. I appreciate it. But what it really lets me know is there's a part of her that's way more concerned with what the choices and decisions she made and how it affected me and how it wasn't fair to me more than what it did to her. And I know some of you can relate to this. You're so much more concerned with other people that you don't even acknowledge your own sadness. Let's just be honest with ourselves now. So a lot of those tears that she had when we were in the bathroom, they were for me. And while I'm not holding that against her. I mean, she's a teenager. If you listen to my episode, and I'm sorry, y'all, I need to go back and, or have them go in there and number the episode so I can say, oh, on episode 7, da da da. But I can't even tell you guys that because they ain't numbered. But there's an episode on there if you haven't listened, and I don't even remember the exact title, but it was something around like when your daughter needs healing, like you listen, something like that. And I shared a part of, her story and that the journey and some of the, a big choice that she made. And she's holding a lot of that inside of her, and she's feeling so bad, like for me, that she put, me, but it's like, what about you? I'm okay. I'm okay in that sense. But what I was saying was, I know a lot of you can relate to that, meaning that you're more concerned with how something affected someone else, that you're not even looking at your own self. You're not even forgiving yourself. You're hard on yourself. You're talking bad about yourself. You're not even giving yourself credit that you were able to move forward from whatever that was. Right. So, in that short period of time, it was so just eye opening again, you know, um, from my daughter, and then looking at what she said and how she was feeling and how she's not alone. She's not the only one that's upset or regretting decisions and choices that they made in life. That was one thing I could really, really pride myself on when I really think about it, is I didn't have any regrets. And I always been like, nah, I'm never gonna regret anything. And this is all before my conscious awakening, but it was more so like, I'm not trying to be letting no regrets like eat me up. And I don't know. I don't even know what I can even say that, or where I could say that even came from. I just know that I was like, I'm not going to live my life with regrets, because I know that that shit can eat you alive, and it's nothing you can do about it in that sense. So I never was the one to walk around like regretting a bunch of a bunch of things that I've done. I more so look at them like, oh, you was tripping, Tisha. You was bugging out. You was wilding out. Like, just coming really from that space. And now when I'm unpacking things and I look at it, because I was the same way, it was like, I'm more concerned about other people. I just want to ignore these things, act as if it just didn't happen, because I don't want to come from a place of regret. But I did a lot of bypassing. Absolutely did a lot of bypassing. And I just want to say that has to stop now for all of us. Acknowledge if you're sad, acknowledge if you're happy. Acknowledge whatever it is that you're feeling and allow yourself to cry. Sometimes that's all you need, is just a nice, good cry. Release those, just release those trapped emotions, right? And just let it go. So now we fast forward and we're in the car and we're leaving, and she's like starving and she's quiet, and I'm just listening to my music, and she was like, was I crying? So I'm trying to keep straight face. And I'm like, yeah, you were. And she's like, why? And then I was like, well, do you remember? And she was like, I remember what I said. She's like, I remember what I said, but I don't remember if I said anything else. And I was like, I was like, so what you remember? And she was like, I remember saying that, I felt bad for the decisions and that I was sorry to you. And I was like, yeah. And I told her the other couple of things that she said. And she was like, dang. I was like, well, at least you were telling how you really feel. And she was like, yeah. And then she's like, isn't it so crazy that each time I wake up from like this, like it's like about you? And so what she's talking about is she had to get some tubes in her ears in February. I think it was in February. And they did a little anesthesia. It was really quick. So it wasn't as much as what she had today. But when she came out, she was emotional, but she wasn't emotional like that when they're crying. It was more like she said to the nurse, she was like, I really like your blonde hair. I was like, okay. And I said to the nurse, I said, well, at least we know she really likes it. Hey. And then she said to me, she said, I just want to let you know that I really appreciate you. So she brought that up and she was like, so the first time it was, I really appreciate you. And this time it's like, I'm really sorry. So you know what? That lets me know that there's that there's probably some form of a mother wound there for her. So that's something for me to explore. And I don't know what that really is. I know she has the father wound for sure. However, I'm not really sure what the mother wound is. I don't know if there's like a part of her that doesn't want to let me down or feels like, she has to live up to something. I don't know. I really don't know, but it was just something in the way she said that. She was like, isn't that crazy that both times like it's like about you? And I'm like, oh, I didn't say anything to her. I have that habit of always going deep. So if you would ever have a conversation like with me, we just talk and I'll look at you and I'll be like, I'm about to take this a little deeper, right? But I didn't do that with her because I didn't want to put too much like on her. So I said, let me sit with that. But I'm like, there might be there might be something to really like explore, but I wanted to talk about it on the podcast because I know you guys can relate to that, right? And then and yes, I'm talking to you. When was the last time you cried? Seriously, when was the last time you cried? I'll be doing a session with someone and they'll be like, oh my gosh, why am I about to cry? I'm getting ready to cry. And I'm like, let that shit out. Please, let that out. It means I'm touching your soul. It means whatever's coming through is touching your soul and you need that cleansing. You need that cleansing. So for me personally, I've always lived, my life in that space of not being vulnerable and not wanting to cry because it shows people that I'm weak and I'm not strong and that I don't want you to have something over me and feel, one up me type foolishness, right? And that was kind of like that there. But I cried a lot, but I would cry for other people, meaning I'm watching a show and it's so sad. I used to watch General Hospital all the time, like my grandmother, that's where I got put onto that was through my grandmother. But I would be watching General Hospital and things would happen and I would cry, or I'd be watching Army Wives, whatever like these shows. And I'm just like, oh my God, and I'm just crying, but I'm crying for other people. But when it came to crying for myself, it was something that I resisted. It's not like that now. I'm way better because I'm a lot more aware. Right. But yeah, my tears would be for other people. But when it came to myself, it was like, I have to be strong. I have to be strong. And that was a belief that was never my belief. It was someone else's belief that was just instilled into me. And I am in the process of still shedding those beliefs because they're not serving me anymore. So my main thing that I want you guys to get from this is cry. Just give yourself that nice, good cry so you can just cleanse. And the other thing is, I want you to give yourself permission to forgive yourself. To really, truly just forgive yourself. So, if something I said resonated with you and you want to go a little bit deeper within yourself or you want to unpack some things, let me know. Let's connect. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to Seeing with Your Soul. If something you heard resonated with you, feel free to rate, review, and share with others. If you are looking to go deeper, you can connect with Tisha Michelle on Instagram at Mindset Slayer or visit www.healingalignedglow.com.